So we're going to kind of go over some of the key concepts of the King's Gambit so that if you do decide to play it, you will be ready. So the King's Gambit starts out pawn to e4, and black responds pawn to e5, and white offers up a sacrifice of pawns on f4. Now this does two things. One, it initiates an attack on the king side right away. We've already started attacking. The second thing, it tries to undermine black center control. For anyone that's played chess or studied chess for any amount of time, you know that the center is a very crucial part of the board. And so right away, white is basically saying, I want to take away your control of the center. Now black has two options here. He obviously can decline and not take our free pawn that we are trying to gambit. But today we're actually going to be looking at the accepted line, so when black does take. So we will go ahead, black takes on f4, and white really has two options here. The first one that we're going to briefly touch on is a move that Fischer used to play a lot, and that is bishop to c4. Now, if you're very new to the King's Gambit, I'm actually going to recommend a different move to you just because I think it's a little easier to play. Not that this move is bad, and we'll actually do another tutorial on it at a later time, but after bishop to c4 and queen to h4 check, king to f1, I feel like it's a little tougher to play white in this position. Your king is in a bad position. He can't castle. Your rook's going to have a hard time coming out. You definitely are going to gain some momentum as you eventually move your knight to f3, chasing the queen away. You will have some development pieces as he retreats his queen, but starting out, I actually think there's a little better move that you can try out. I think you should have a lot of success with it, and that is just simply knight to f3. And the first thing it does, obviously, you are developing one of your minor pieces, and the second thing it does is stops black's queen from coming down and checking you. So for the time being, your king is safe. Now, black obviously has a lot of different options here, and in today's tutorial we are going to go over if they try to hold on to the pawn. If someone's not too familiar with the King's Gambit, a lot of times they will try to hold on to material. A lot of players, if they get up material, they want to hold on to that, and so we are going to go over the move pawn to g5, and you'll see this a lot by black. This pawn is now protecting his pawn on f4, and we can't go ahead and take it right now because his queen is also defending this pawn on g5. What you do see already though is black has weakened his king side more, and so we are going to go after him immediately and start attacking. First thing we're going to do is move pawn to h4, and this immediately tries to take away this square from the defender. He can always take our pawn, and after we take, his pawn is hanging, and eventually we can just play our pawn to d4, and our bishop on c1 will be free to take his pawn, and we'll be back even in material. So a lot of times you'll see black just respond, come down, and attack our knight. And another good thing about this pawn on h4 is it sets up a defender for the knight when we move it to knight to g5. And you can already see that we are in black's base, and his king side is weak, and so we are going to start an attack. Now a lot of times black in this position, there's two different moves we're going to go over right now. A lot of times black will try to get the knight out of there, and they will try to initiate a move to make white move. So the first move you may see is just simply pawn to h6, attacking the knight here. The knight obviously can't go back to h3, he'll be taken. Can't go to f3, he'll be taken. Can't go to e4 because of his piece there. Can't go to e6 or he'll be taken. And his other move is f7. So black right away is basically saying move your knight. We're actually going to have another sacrifice here, and we're going to attack the f7 square. And for many people that have studied chess, they know that the f7 square is a very big weakness for black, and so we're going to go ahead and take it. And then when black recaptures, you already see black's entire defense around his king is gone, and his king is in a very bad position. Now, eventually we can bring our bishop out here to c4 and check, get our bishop involved. We also want to get our queen involved on g4. Anytime black tries to defend his pawn at the beginning, you always want to get your queen to g4. The queen on g4 is just devastating for many reasons. So if we look at, we need to decide which one we're going to do first. And if you look at it, if bishop to c4 first, black can easily come down with his pawn to d5 and block, and at the same time his bishop on c8 is now defending the pawn on g4. And obviously, since we want to get our queen to g4, that's not going to be our first move. Our first move, we're not going to put him in check yet. We're going to go ahead and take on g4. Now the queen is very active. He can do a lot of things, and so black has to try to figure out how to stop this attack. We have many different options that we have. We can always come in the future, bring our bishop into the attack, c4. Once we bring our bishop into the attack, as you can see, once we castle, our rook is going to be on the f-file lined up with the king here. That's another key concept to remember about the King's Gambit is you're basically giving up your pawn on the f-file, but once you castle, your rook now becomes very active on this f-file, and you should use that a lot to attack along the f-file, especially if you can get rid of this pawn here. Many times you'll see them try to defend the king just by bringing the knight out and at the same time attacking the queen. But here we can just go ahead and attack the knight and take a pawn. The knight is now pinned, and at any time now we can still check the king. We can move this pawn, attacking the knight that's pinned. He can no longer move. If black were to try to stop us from moving our pawn, again, we can always come check. We can castle and have a rook queen battering ram going. So there's a lot of different possibilities that we can have. So definitely like this line. It's a very dynamic way to play it. Another thing they can do coming back to this situation is just come up to f6 and try to attack. And here we're obviously not going to go straight to f7 because there's not a place there. We're just not going to worry about it. We're going to go ahead and come queen to g4. Again, you want to come to queen to g4 if you can. And here, even if they take, we don't care. We're going to go ahead and check them. And then when the queen moves, we're going to go ahead and take another piece and force them to move again. Now here we are threatening the same thing. We can always bring our bishop here. If he doesn't make a strong move, we can always get our other knight involved. Again, we can always castle, bring him into the attack. So a lot of different options that you have. Black's going to be in a lot of trouble. You can always develop your bishop and your knight and castle queenside, and your king will be pretty safe. Now keep in mind, none of his minor pieces or major pieces have moved. So although you are down a material, you definitely have a lot of tempo and momentum, and you should have pretty good results. So everyone, thanks for checking out the video. Check out